Hi, I'm MJBZ,
And I'm Catrina.
and we are two cats writing. Sorry, we crack ourselves up. Um,
Often.
yeah, often. So I think today, I think our topic is schedules. We wanted to talk about scheduling, right?
Yes. And
Yes.
most of this is going to be based on the schedules that we are already enacting ourselves. And we're going to share how we manage what is ahead of us.
And you guys might notice on my back wall here today, I added a bunch of fan art for my various projects, along with the cover of my debut that's coming out. And part of what I did, why I did that, was as an illustration of what my brain looks like when I'm thinking about schedules. This back wall is my brain and all the projects that I have lurking in there, trying to figure out how to manage all of them. So that's kind of where I'm coming to the conversation from. Where are you right now in terms of your own personal schedule hell, Catrina?
I like the way you termed that. It feels so accurate.
Well, that's what I thought.
As we were talking about before we started the recording today, I have a lot. We've got a release coming up this month. We have about 31 stories in 31 days, where I'm writing a short story a day every single day this month.
Amazing.
Not really. I keep missing. I've got, let's see, as we're recording this, we're on day 13, and I have 8, somewhere between 8 and 10 that I think are done or basically done. I have about 13
Nice.
started. I at least one of them has a opening line, so I don't know if that really started.
That is started. You have to start somewhere. The opening line. There you go.
But yes, and then of course we've got lots of other juggling, because we both have other things that we're doing for work besides writing and streaming
Yes.
and the podcast. And I'm sure you guys are noticing that list is starting to get longer.
I would say we maybe both have a problem with saying no to things. I know I have a problem with that. I'm trying to get better at it, but I don't know that I have.
I can honestly say I have gotten better to some degree. The other thing I'm working on in the background, though, is a business project. We're trying to find a brick and mortar space.
Oh, right. I actually remembered that you were trying to do that. I remembered something. Amazing.
In the background of everything, I'm also working on filing LLCs and opening the nonprofit and applying for grant. Well, grants will probably be next month once I get all the other paperwork done. So, yeah, that would be my current. That's my to-do list this month, and the scheduling is, of course, trying to juggle that around other family obligations, which have always been the priority in my career. And that hasn't changed either. Actually, the brick and mortar is kind of that too. We'll talk priorities at some point.
Yeah. I mean, and like if we're talking priorities, I mean, I guess maybe that's a whole different conversation, but I'm definitely a person who prioritizes work. That's where I find my center, like my kind of core idea of who I am as a person is like doing meaningful work. So, most of the work that I do falls under that category. So, I'm balancing teaching, which is really important to me. Streaming, which was like a thing I picked up during the like early days of the pandemic, and has remained something that I really, really love doing, but has certainly become something of a job. Even though I'm not doing it 7 days a week anymore, like I originally was, 5 days a week is still a lot. And then authoring, which has taken on a whole new dimension for me now that I'm, my publishing career has like actually begun, and I'm on publishing schedules that are made not by me. I think part of the kind of short that I made recently was kind of coming out of a place where I'm in this new place where I have projects I'm working on. But so I have my debut, which is coming out, and there are events and things planned for that. Like my part in the publishing schedule for that is done. Now it's all, up at this point till release. Like I'm doing marketing tasks and stuff like that. And then I have, book events after when the book launches and so on. But because it was a 2-book deal, I also have another book, and we'd talked recently about deadlines, and I had turned the first draft of that in as on deadline. But I recently received the schedule for that too. So now I have like a full schedule from my publisher for my like developmental edit period, copy editing, like the design period, like all the different areas where I'm involved. And like, my book events are smack in the middle of developmental edits and stuff like that. And obviously developmental edits I think there's probably going to be a couple of rounds of that. But so some of the time the book won't be in my hands, it'll be in my editor's hands, but then it'll be back in mine, and I'll have things to do and things to work around. And that's kind of new for me, is like doing all of this stuff. Plus I'm on a publisher schedule, and now it's like kind of also crossing over like a publisher's schedule with 2 books. And certainly I'm hoping to sell another one soon. So I may be adding like another schedule on top of that, and that's a whole new thing for me. And then I'm thinking, wow, I really need to get my taxes done, so
Oh yeah.
before this stuff starts. So it's like scheduling has taken on a whole new dimension. As someone with ADHD, I have certainly discovered, like, I've been self-employed for a long time, and that has been great for me because I do better when I manage my own schedule, and I'm the one who decides when things happen in that sense. So it's funny that I didn't choose self-publishing, which would have put all of that fully in my hands. But now I'm in the middle of that. Like I have my own, like my teaching is, I'm self-employed as a teacher, and so I have that, and I'm obviously self-employed as a Twitch streamer. And technically self-employed as an author as well, but I'm operating as someone else's schedule there. And so it's like my latest issue with that has been when I came off the deadline for book 2 and I got the draft turned in, and then I immediately pivoted to working on my option, right? So in traditional publishing, like all contracts, pretty much most contracts have an option clause where the next book that you want to sell, you give your publisher the first chance to look at it. So we're like, getting a book ready for that. And so I'm working on that project. And because I have ADHD, and I definitely have that thing in ADHD where, out of sight, out of mind, I am now fully in love with that book again, and I could not give a crap about any of the rest. Like I could not give a crap about my debut that's about to come out or the book that I'm going to be going into developmental edits for soon. And I'll be able to get that love back, But right at this moment, I can only think about this other book. It's like it's my whole world now. I'm in love with it. I that's all I care about. I'm like completely obsessed and hyper focused on that now. So I've been asking other writers, like, hey, how do you guys deal with this? How do you remember that you loved these other books that you still have to market and care about and even work on and with an editor and stuff? Like, how do you guys manage that? And so there's been a whole conversation. So I am curious. I'm curious, Catrina, how much, if at all, this is an issue for you in indie publishing. Like, how, if you're trying to manage multiple projects like that, and maybe it's a stretch to call this scheduling, but it feels like scheduling to me because it feels like, oh, I'm carving out places in my life for these specific projects. How does that work for you?
Scheduling is absolutely key. And this doesn't matter. I mean, it's even more so because I am ADHD. I am, and like we've discussed, probably, more likely more than just that. The schedule makes a big difference with getting stuff done. And like I've mentioned in other podcasts, I have a great admiration and respect for those who are absolutely dedicated and organized with their stuff. In my case, I have found that I have to dedicate certain days to recording the videos that I record because we're doing YouTube stuff now. I have to record. Oh yeah, I didn't add that to my list earlier. But if I don't, like, we have the day each week now that's completely dedicated to the podcast. I don't do anything else that is work related on this day unless it's going to be contributing to or enhancing our goals for the podcast. I have a day of the week dedicated to YouTube. That is, other than writing for the books that I have to get out or eventually editing in that window. And that I spend about an hour a day regardless of what is going on. Because if I don't put that in there, the writing will go away. I will let everything else sidetrack me, and then it's an effort to get back to it, and I don't do that. It's not usually good.
So you definitely do write every day. You're one of those writers who absolutely writes every day.
If I don't, even if it's just a few words, then and I've taken time off recently. Back in December, I wasn't writing every day, and getting back into it for stories, or for 31 stories, has been, like I said, I haven't made my mark, and I'm used to, even if it's just a short 1,000-word story, I'm used to hitting my mark at least, and I'm not hitting it because I let it stop being a habit. But each of us are different, and each of us have to schedule the way it works best for us. And the advantage with indie is that I can do it on my terms. So I can get up. I haven't been able to stream the way I'm used to. I like streaming 5 to 7 days a week. I haven't been able to because I've had to give rides to a bunch of family members because a bunch of us have cars down right now. And it's a little bit cold, so there's, nobody's walking.
Just a tad.
And so I'm not streaming because that overlaps, but I'm still getting up and I'm still writing, or I'm sitting on my tablet and writing. So stories are still happening, even if I'm not able to get online or on stream, because they need to happen, because if I get out of that habit. So that's my schedule. Still, every morning I get up and I write. Even if all I do is spend an hour, even if all I do is a few hundred words, it's still writing, it's still progress. Although the current story, the characters are so alive, they're driving me nuts. I love it.
I wish I could be one of those writers. I've always felt like, because there's so many authors who will say, if you don't write every day, like you're not really doing it. Like it's like what you hear on social media. Like if you don't write every day, you're not really doing the job. And I've
heard that.
There have been times when I write every day, but then there are other times when I just absolutely can't.
Right.
And I don't.
And you don't have to. I don't care what they say. You do have to write with what schedule works best for you and for your ability to maintain your creativity and your workflow.
Yeah.
And that's different for all of us. And anybody who tells you otherwise is full of baloney.
Well, and I fully will say that I need to write more, I think. I some of the issues that I've had with some of the issues that I had with time management for my last deadline, I think could have been mitigated if I forced myself to set a little more time aside. What's been weird for me is that it used to be that early morning was when I always wrote. Like, that was my best time. That's when my brain worked the best. But then when I started streaming, that's the only time I can stream. So the specific reason why I went from 7 days a week to 5 days a week streaming was to set aside 2 mornings where they were for writing. Now, I won't lie, the podcast is actually getting in the way, but I'll figure out a way. I'll figure out a way to do it, because Tuesday, the day we record our podcast, which is it's Tuesday, used to be a dedicated writing day for me. That's what it was. One of my 2 only dedicated writing days, Tuesday and Thursday. But it is also one of the days. It was also the only day. Like, my spouse is gone from here only 1 day a week, so generally, and it's not always Tuesday, but most of the time it is. So that's also the only time I can do podcast. So it's I'm not sure how I'm gonna handle this overall, and I may need to take another day off streaming, eliminate Wednesdays maybe or something like that, to do writing in the morning.
Well, how did writing work for you when you were writing on stream for the project?
It actually works well. Writing on stream works pretty well for the most part. It's good for accountability, and I do find, I do writing sprints and so on. I do have a weird mental block about it sometimes, where I don't want to delve into a part that I think is going to be really difficult when I'm on stream, because I will get inevitably something will happen. I'll get a raid or something where I feel like I really have to pay attention to chat, and then I will, and it'll have to pull me out of the thing. So I'm certainly working through some personal mental blocks with making sure that time is productive, but that I also can get pulled out of hyperfocus and be able to continue. Because that's the thing. I know we're always talking about ADHD, but it's because we both have ADHD, you guys. Mm-hmm. That's just, we both have ADHD. So a lot of times I have trouble switching tasks if I've gotten hyper-focused. So if I get in real deep with the work, then it can be a real challenge for me when something comes along, like a raid, or someone needs my attention for something, or I'll start to feel guilty because I'm co-streaming with a friend, and I've ignored everything that they've said, those things will happen, and that's stuff I need to work through. So it's productive. It's definitely productive for me to write on stream. But it also isn't as fully immersed as or as potentially fully immersive as when I am just writing by myself. So there's advantages to both scenarios, and sometimes one's better than the other, but I also think having a consistent stream schedule is extremely important for maintaining Twitch viewership. So
it is.
Yeah, I feel like I have to have a schedule and stick with it. So if I'm going to feel like I need more time in the morning to write, because I'm, chosen to give some time to the podcast on a writing day that would have been a full day of writing before, without distractions, then I should make it a part of my official schedule. I should like do that every time because I really think that makes a huge difference. I don't know. Our maybe in in ADHD fashion, we're taking this schedule discussion like way off on tangents, but
No, I think that this is important because we do other things. And the great thing about streaming, when I started streaming writing to stream writing. And it's a productivity conversation. It's an opportunity to talk to other writers, to share my knowledge, to learn from others, to try to stick to a schedule that allows me to know that I am getting up, I am writing, I am helping others write. I absolutely will hyperfixate. You will be in my stream 1 minute, we'll be having a great conversation, then I'll get to a great part of the story and I disappear. And I hear that a lot. And then, of course, my model is like doing weird things now that I'm using a model predominantly. And so then I'll get comments on that. But, you know, it keeps it entertaining at least. And we can set up a lot
yeah.
of automations for when people come in for raids. If we are hyper focused, we can set up other chat things. A lot of the times, I know both of us, when we do have full active chats because we're there like we're supposed to be, unlike I've been lately, we know that our chat will happily welcome the raid on our behalf as well while
Yeah,
everything's going on.
if I have mods in the chat, that helps too. If I have mods
Mhm.
available at the time, which most of the time I usually have at least one mod who's like active. I go through. I'm sure you've had this experience too, but mods kind of tend to go through waves. Like you have
Yeah.
mods, and then a bunch of them like just aren't really around that much anymore. So then you get new mods, and then they last for a while. And
Yeah.
uh, yeah.
As a matter of fact, I finally went back and pulled off some of my mods that I had from the very beginning because I didn't want to unmod them and then they show back up and wonder what happened.
Yeah. Well, I was retire mods to the pink diamond. If I'm retiring them, they become VIPs. So at least they know that I'm still thinking of them.
If I
If
still had more VIP space, I could do that. I
Yeah,
ran
I've had to start
out.
deleting them. I had to start
So
taking away
annoying.
some VIPs from people who aren't in chat anymore.
But
Feel a little
besides
bad
that,
about it.
yeah, I know. I'm the same way. But the good news
Yeah,
is there
we
are
need more VIP slots, Twitch.
yes, please. Yes, please. Although I love that we can now add our artists, so there's that.
Yeah, that is great. That is wonderful. And I think where I got myself in trouble with VIP slots was having a VIP redeem. I don't know if you have that as a channel point redemption on your channel, but I do.
I
People who've redeemed VIP, I feel really bad taking it away. But some of them, sometimes they're people who haven't been around in, like a year. And I think, well,
I have a really,
eh.
really high redeem for mine, and in most cases, if they can redeem it and I take them off, say, I haven't seen them in 6 months, they are probably gonna be able to come back and redeem it immediately. So, there's that.
Yeah, mine is quite high as well. It's like 100,000 channel points, I think. Um, but
Besides all
anyway,
of that,
oh,
back to schedules.
scheduling. Yes, we were talking about scheduling, and here we are. Here we are.
Proving
Yeah, I think we've.
why we're ADHD.
Yes. Well, and I think I think in the podcast where we talked about deadlines, we talked about we talked a lot about scheduling then. Like these two topics do kind of cross over. I definitely do have to make schedules. I think I talked about this where it's like if I don't make a schedule for something and schedule in time for it, then I feel guilty that I'm not doing it anytime I'm not doing it. So like But as long as it's got a spot in the schedule, then I know like, I can stop doing this at this time and do something new.
Mhm.
Um,
What
and
is the adjustment? Sorry.
no. What were you gonna say? What were you gonna
I
ask?
was gonna say, what has the adjustment been like for you going from everything on your timetable, your schedule, to having to work
Mm-hmm.
with somebody else's schedule?
I actually like it's been pretty good. I mean, I would say the one place where it was rough was that thing where I think I needed to ask for a deadline that I hadn't been given, to help me. I think that I need to be more proactive asking for deadlines from my editor on things that they might not normally think that they need to set a deadline for. And certainly when it comes to writing on a schedule or like writing to a schedule that is someone else's schedule, and this is tied into the deadline discussion again,
Mhm.
I think that it can be a challenge for probably every author in terms of like there are days when like you're like I have to get words down today or I'm really going to fall behind on what I need to do to be prepared to make this deadline, to fulfill like my obligations in this schedule here that's been made for me. And but the words are just not coming. Like it's just not a day where your brain is braining on the book and you're having a hard time. I think this actually can also tie in a little bit with the thing I was talking about where we get, hyper focused on an idea, and we're in love with that idea, which is great all the way up until for some reason that day you're not. But you still have to do the work. I think with any job at all in the world to be successful at it, and I suspect this goes for indie publishing just as much as it goes for traditional publishing, even though I'm on someone else's schedule and you're not, is there are days when you have to go to work and you don't feel like it.
Mhm.
Uh, and that can be especially a struggle when the work is creative. So it's not just like, you can sit down and you have a task that is very straightforward and like all the pieces that you need for it are right there and you're just having to do the task. With creative work, you have to be able to create in that time. Like you're pulling things out of your brain that are not already created, that don't
Mhm.
already exist. And so going to work on the days when you don't feel like it is an extra challenge because you have to make your brain somehow function in a way that it is not ready to do.
I find
And that can be really tough, but I
it
suspect that
can.
that's the same in the indie, right?
It is. That's actually why when I'm writing every day on my planned schedule, it's easier for me because my brain's already there ahead of time.
Mm.
So even if I, for example, don't know how to start this story for whatever reason, or I've gotten to a point where I'm not sure how to continue, my head's already ready to write. And even if I only get that one sentence or the handful of words in, it's in that state of mind where I'm ready to do that. So if I readjust to something else, I will have already met my time frame, my schedule. So I'm still making some kind of progress. That's part of what, for me, shifting off of that daily writing makes it harder to hit my schedules ahead of time because then I'm missing targeted goals because I'm not in the right frame of mind because it's harder for me to do. If that makes
I can relate. Yeah. Well, and it's possible too that I mean, if I'm being perfectly honest, I think I am less productive as a writer since I started Twitch streaming because I gave up those early mornings to Twitch. So, like, that's a decision I made, and it has not necessarily been good for me as a writer. I think it's been good for me as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And I've made a lot of friends, and I have been able to like I've been able to feel like a person who is not an isolated introvert all the time, which is my natural state, is like introvert.
Yep, I get
But
that.
because I'm Twitch streaming, I have a community there, and I'm in a household where we are still very COVID cautious. Like, we're one of the 5 people still COVID cautious, and so that that is kind of isolating.
Okay.
And mostly for me, it's been fine. But like, definitely, streaming, like being on Twitch, has been great for me because I've always still felt connected to the world and connected to other people. Taking those 2 days away, those 2 days back for writing in the morning, is probably the only reason why I have a career right now as an author. That needed to happen because when I was streaming 7 days a week, I was not writing very much, and things were getting rough. And the book that I'm actually currently hyperfixated on, I was struggling to complete. The one that's like the project that I'm working on right now with my agent. I struggled to complete it for a long time, and I never would have gotten there if I hadn't taken those days back. And it is possible that I'm going to have to take more back. Like, maybe I'm still on this trajectory of figuring out what I have to do if I'm really being an author for a career. Maybe I have to make some changes. Maybe I can't give away all my mornings, not even as many as I'm doing now, and still maintain this. So it's like it's a tough balance, and I'm definitely writing less. So maybe I'm actually suffering from the thing that you keep yourself from suffering from by writing every day, of like feeling sometimes that I have to get back in to the page, because I've been away for too long.
Well, and this is where writing on Twitch, even if all you're doing, like I said, is just a little bit.
Yeah.
You start off with writing. Perhaps you'll go and do your gaming thing after, but you can always start off with writing for, I'm going to spend the next half hour working on this specific scene, and I'm going to make it the way I want it, and then I'm going to move on. And
Well, and yeah, it's
I
a little complicated for me because I can only stream for a certain number of hours in the morning. Like, that is very limited.
Mhm.
It's limited by like when my spouse gets up, basically.
But you've got a great community that you've already built, and they've been right there supporting you through this writing journey so far.
Yeah.
And you've got the writing community here on Twitch happy to support you.
I love the writing community I have discovered on Twitch. Thank you very much, Catrina. and I have, like, at this point I am writing 3 days a week and gaming 2 days a week on Twitch nowadays. And one of those is like pretty set in stone because it's like I play with other people. It's the Minecraft day on Saturdays, but
Uh-huh.
and then
And you
Fridays I've
need
been
that.
trying to set aside for the other game that I mostly play. And so I am writing on Twitch 3 days a week these days. So, like,
So
I
you're
guess
making
maybe I
progress.
have given myself those writing days back, those writing mornings back, a bunch of them. So maybe I shouldn't complain. I should be doing fine. I should be fine.
What kind of celebrations do you have built into your schedule? How do you celebrate achieving your goals in your schedule or keeping to your schedule?
Oh. Huh. That's not really a thing I do.
Oh,
Haha. Maybe I'm missing an important thing, an important element. We're learning here, right on the podcast, you guys.
Okay, I'm going to say this to everybody. My mindset shift came when my best friend and my then editor reminded me that I got X done, and I forget what it was. But he said something to me about, well, you'd done this and you'd done that. And my head was, well, but I didn't finish. I'm not done. I'm not. And I was absolutely in the I need to keep going mode, despite the fact that I don't remember at that point. I couldn't remember ever taking time to just relax and refresh. And there was nothing that I was celebrating at that point. But when I started to recognize, oh no, I did that. I did do that. I finished X, Y, and Z, whatever this was. And I can't remember exactly what progress I was doing, but it was one of those things where he said, yeah, but you did that. That's more than you did yesterday. Why are you so hard on yourself, basically? And then I thought about how many times have I in chat celebrated with somebody who got 200 words down, because I know how hard that can feel sometimes.
Oh my God, yes, can. Yes,
but
it
I
can.
couldn't celebrate for myself.
Catrina, the wisdom.
Only comes from experience and brilliant people willing to remind us that it's okay to celebrate, that you may not be able to write your really hard scene on stream, but you got all the other stuff around it, and it's done and it's packaged and you did it. So when you have that day, even if it is just a Thursday, theoretically, in your schedule to do the hard stuff, you have less around it that you have to do because you got up those scheduled days that you planned to stream writing for 3 days a week, and you wrote. And you should celebrate and commend yourself because you've come so far and so much closer to your ultimate goal with your writing project or whatever else you're working on at that point.
On that, like, oh, hi, Embercat. Embercat is purring into for all of you. Embercat is also appreciating the wise words of Catrina Taylor. On that note, maybe that is a good time to kind of wrap up our discussion, because I feel like that was so inspiring.
I just know it's a wonderful, powerful tool for keeping us on schedule and on targets when we stop for a few minutes and remember we did that. And we got through this a little bit each time, every day, or every day that we've sat down to do it. And if we're going to end here, then I want all of you who are listening to us go into the comments section and tell us, what are you doing to celebrate? And how are you keeping to your schedule?
That's an excellent question.
In the meantime, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today.
And Embercat thanks you too.
My babies have all been very polite and quiet. We'll see if they do that in later stuff.
Thanks, Catrina.
Thank you. And we will see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Bye.